Welcome everybody to the wonderful world of Pokemon. I am Meelz.
Hey.
I'm here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff.
What's up? What's up?
I'm here with Big Gucci Pafif.
Woo!
And I am here with OG Johnny 5, Justin Davis, special guest on the episode. Yeah. Sir, how are you doing? It's been a while since you've been on Mount Silver.
Yeah, first time, second guest.
Yeah, first time was the games. I believe it was Golden Silver, yeah. And this time I'm drinking on a smoothie, almond milk smoothie, and looking for dog beds. And this is like my 5th or 6th podcast this week. So I'm Iron Man this week.
Dude.
You're kind of owning it. I mean,
Go
it
hard.
is what it is. They call you, you answer. A, B, C, D, E, and that is really it. With that said, I mean, welcome to episode 13 of Mount Silver, episode 3 of season 2, depending on how you want to count it. We are here to talk about the highly anticipated third gym of this series. And I say highly anticipated because I think this could be an experience where I feel like it's I don't know if it's very rare. I don't actually want to say it's very rare, but I think we've hit our first instance where maybe the anime overpowers your actual memory of the actual gameplay of this. Because the last few episodes we had a couple of conversations about Brock, and it's like, oh my god, how to beat Brock with a damn Charmander, and then even Misty, it's like, oh my god, you even got a Charmeleon, it's like, all right, well, you screwed when that bubble beam hits you, it's over with. I think this episode, I can't honestly remember much of the battle with Lieutenant Surge as I can probably remember trying to figure out the sequence of trash cans before I get
trash can buttons.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do that in this episode.
Yeah. No. Let me tell you what, because I remember, I would agree with basically everything you just said. I remember Ash's fight against Surge, no matter how, which we'll talk about. But I remember the trash cans more than the fight.
Yeah, that shit was annoying. Game. It was very annoying. I feel like Surge, his personality, it doesn't work for the game. Like, the actual battle was obviously seeing Raichu. That was the only thing I can really remember. I think it was like level 23 or 24. But like outside of that, it's all anime.
In terms of the actual game itself, it's the third gym in the game. I honestly, in the actual show itself, it's like they start off the episode with like, after 2 weeks of being lost, they finally make it to Vermillion City. And I'm like, was it that treacherous to get to Vermillion City? Like, I'm in my brain, I'm trying to figure out how I actually got there. I think you really
yeah, you come on the game?
Yeah.
I mean, you just go down that passageway where that daycare is, and then you hit that underground tunnel, and then you go through that. That's, I mean, it's not.
You still had to go see Bill.
It's not 2 weeks worth.
You don't have to go through Diglett Tunnel either, right? Technically, you can. I think you can get a Diglett and use it to beat Surge pretty easily, but I don't think you have to go through Diglett Tunnel until you go from Vermillion to Celadon, unless I'm wrong.
No, I meant that other tunnel that you got to hit where it's like a bikeway.
It's like a bike yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this underground tunnel that you kind of travel from. And I guess it's underground. Like, I guess above it would be like Saffron City, maybe, or something along those lines. I don't know.
It was before you could take that shortcut by giving them lemonade or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Those underground tunnels were such a they were like a staple of the game.
Yeah. You had to.
There were the dungeons. They were essentially the dungeons of the game, really. The old games, because the old Pokemon games were, they're like an extension, really, of Dragon Quest, with a capture element where you have dungeons intermittently throughout, and the big castle, so to speak, is, remember, this is the 90s, were the gym. So it still followed that mode and that, that trope of Japanese RPGs. And I think that what this episode in particular does well is it's basically the reason why there's a Pokemon anime, not just to just sell toys and games. It's to extend the life of the game and say, you know what, you might have experienced this, but if this were to really happen, this was Ash's experience. And I think that's the most glaring part. And the most thing that I forgot about these shows is that they expanded upon the lore of the games.
There's a couple episodes ahead of it, and we'll get to the actual status update on everything once we get closer to the actual anime talk. But yeah, it's completely experienced, fully just kind of unfurled out through the anime and all this other things like that.
I would say there's no other, like, I don't want to say tie-in because it's not a tie-in, but like there's nothing else like that has that level of success with having the show airing and the games popular like at the same time.
Right.
There's plenty of franchises that, you know, get a movie off while they're popular or that type of shit. I mean, fuck, even Angry Birds does that. But this was 20 years ago, longer, and if you're playing the game, you're watching the show, you were playing the card game, like this thing was a Hydra.
Yeah, it was everything. It was everything. It was Spice World, Spice Girl lollipops, Spice World book bag. It's like, I think Americans were so like, when you reach a phenomenon and a craze, like we want everything and every part of like culture and society has got to have their fingers on it or be a part of it, and that's kind of like what Pokemon was in the 90s. I want to ask Justin and Pat. I was about to say Jeff earlier, but I actually meant to ask Justin and Pat, even though Jeff will help me out on this. Are you familiar with the conspiracy theories surrounding Pokemon and Lieutenant Surge?
Oh my god, I'm not, but I can only imagine what it is.
I don't know. I don't think I know what it is. You guys may have told me before, but like my mind is reaching in so many directions immediately as you say it. I'm like, I don't know which one I want to go with.
Okay, all right, Jeff, fill him in on the conspiracy theory regarding Lieutenant Surge.
Sure. So one day this was maybe 10 years ago, like a decade ago, straight up, and I was just on YouTube,
probably like, same, yeah,
on some dumb shit, you know, like in a YouTube hole, Pokemon stuff, and looking up Pokemon conspiracies, Mew and Ditto, shit like that, and I ran to this.
YouTube in this day and age is basically a continent now in the quarantine, so you don't have to feel bad about being on it at all.
I was stuck. So, you know, basically there's this conspiracy about great Pokemon war. You know, a war that happened a little bit before Red, Blue, and Yellow, which is why they kind of live the way that they live. And Lieutenant Surge fought in this war. And he actually, I mean, they give you everything. He references it a few times. There's a point where you talk to him and he's like, "Hey kid, what do you think you're doing here? You won't live long in combat." And then he says, "That's for sure. I'll tell you what, kid, electric Pokemon saved me during the war." Now, so it makes a lot of sense considering.
I remember this dialogue.
Right. It makes a lot of sense considering the structure of Kanto. How young kids are basically gym leaders. Anybody old is a thief, works for Team Rocket, or they work something in military. They just have like all these little things that kind of show you in the right direction. That there was obviously something tragic that happened. I mean, kids are going off at 10 years old. There's no vehicles. It's just. Basically, these are the first set of people living without this great war of Pokemon, and Lieutenant Surge was actually a lieutenant in this war.
I buy this completely. This is canon in my mind now.
I think it's interesting because there are actual stories like this in the newer games. I mean, the newer
X and Y.
Yeah, like X and Y. There. I mean, even in Sword and Shield, there is like a lore that goes beyond what we know and what we see, and I think maybe the developers of Game Freak wanted that to be true, when they made this game, but of course they were kind of sidelined with what the Game Boy could do at the time, and they just kind of kept some things in and took some things out. I mean, even the Kangaskhan story was really dark, and
yes.
And I just remember a lot of things just being very. The game has this very black comedy but very horrific streak because essentially you're putting these pocket monsters, so to speak, to battle for you. They're slaves. This is essentially.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're not your pets.
They've managed to present it in a much better light as the series has gone on, I'll say. But even playing it originally was like. Before the first time I healed a Pokemon, I remember being like, "Wow, I can only use this move 10 times. This seems crazy." And then, of course, it's not. But it is like it has, especially because it's a handheld game. The first iteration wasn't in color. It had that like inherent darkness. Justin, it's kind of like what you and I have been talking about recently with it's come up on like 3 pods now, the FromSoft games, where like you don't know exactly what's going on in the world. Like when you're playing Bloodborne or something, you don't know what's happening really in the world of Bloodborne. You just kind of have like a loose idea of the true plot of the game. Right. And this is actually kind of exactly what that's like.
And that's what's really dope about Pokemon as a whole is you the lore is only as deep as you want to go. Like if you want this to just be a surface level game about collecting monsters, making them powerful, exactly, it can be. But if you want to go deeper into what is the Kanto region, what exactly does it represent, what is the actual status of the Elite Four, like it's all there for you. It's just you have to look for it.
Right, 100%. If you read Lieutenant Surge's Bulbapedia profile, it says Lieutenant Surge is known as a Lightning Lieutenant. Apparently, he is and or was an American soldier back when they referenced America in this game and or actual world events, during which an electric Pokemon saved his life. As a member of the Army, Surge was a strict CO and was rather cautious. He was a pilot as well, used electric-type Pokemon to power his planes, a practice that in at least one occasion saved his life. Also, Surge saved the life of one of his trainers in the gym who was in the Army at the same time. A little paranoid, Lieutenant Surge installed a series of traps in the gym.
Yep.
Yeah. So
he's got, not just is he, an ex-military, I mean, he's got PTSD.
The gym leader does appear, especially in these Kanto gyms, the gym leader does kind of appear to be like the militant mayor of the area. I'm not going to say it's martial law, but
that would be hilarious.
The gym leaders like they're loosely in charge of the area because the whole town is themed around them. They're themed around the town. Also, it could be said, but. I don't see, now that we're on this, there's a loose political structure in these worlds.
Oh my god. This is so true.
Anyway, boys, we're about to be living it.
In the game itself, Pokemon Red and Blue, Lieutenant Surge has 3 Pokemon. He has Voltorb, he has a Pikachu at level 18. Voltorb is level 21, Pikachu is level 18, and Raichu is level 24. In Pokemon Yellow, he only has Raichu. I'm not sure how they got across with that. Maybe they just really wanted to simulate the anime.
That's
all about what Yellow
that's definitely
was.
what happened.
That's all Yellow was. Yellow is literally like, oh shit, this is picking up, and they just redid the game.
They give you Bulbasaur and
Yellow wasn't even a color game. That's how fast they got it out the door. Like it had the same thing Red and Blue had, that if you used it in a Game Boy Color, it would tint it red or yellow or blue. But they didn't put it out. They put it out so fast that it was still like they could have ported it to Game Boy Color, but they said fuck it and just put out Yellow. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was a Game Boy Color game.
I think it was. It a game?
No. I'm looking at Raichu actually, and I
thought it was.
I can't tell. I think I might be wrong.
Game Boy. It was for Game Boy.
Okay, okay, there we go.
Enhanced for the Super Game Boy in all releases and for Game Boy Color outside Japan. So yes, it was for Game Boy Color in some special instances. With that said, let's get into the actual episode itself and kind of mark down how the hell our experience, because I don't remember facing this gym at all. It's probably was because at this time you learned all about type effectiveness at this point, so you really just kind of like diggleted it to death.
Yeah. I gotta say this just before we start. My biggest memory of this gym, honestly, is I didn't know. This was like 2nd or 3rd grade or whatever. I didn't know what the fuck a lieutenant was. And because of that
LT.
Yeah, I saw the LT and he was an electric trainer, and I thought like his name was like Light Surge or something. I was like, all right, that's like a little on the nose, but Light Surge. Okay, here we go. I don't even know when I realized like, oh no, that's a title.
Listen, all I remember about Vermillion City is the Pokemon Club, where I use all those adjectives that head of the Pokemon Club used. Where he's like, it's ravishing, it's amazing. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna.
This guy wants to fuck a Rapidash.
I'll be crazy. I'll be honest. That city to me, I feel like the SSN is so dominant in that situation that it also does kind of push Lieutenant Surge to the side. Not to mention, the truck on the side where Mew is apparently, and that city has a lot of other things going on. So
it's really
Snorlax in the way. There's
It's really where the game kind of opens up.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get into the episode itself. Once again, this is episode 15 of the anime. We've skipped quite a number of episodes, but we're gonna sort of catch up. Again, the traveling troupe, Ash, Brock, and Misty.
It's 14. It's 14.
It's 14. Sorry,
yeah,
episode 14.
Yeah.
Ash's team, considering the last episode that we had, it has exploded, and he has gotten a number of Pokemon. In addition to Pikachu, Pidgeotto, and Butterfree. At this episode, he also has Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Krabby.
He got his Krabby already?
He has Krabby. He caught Krabby. It was a great streak for him. Legitimately, 4 episodes, 4 Pokemon.
That Kingler was real deal later on.
Yeah, listen, you caught a Krabby.
What is the synergy of this team?
There is none. Whoever wants to be Ash's friend, like
who is the tank? He doesn't have a tank.
Think about it. 70% of this squad just wanted to come with him. You know, he didn't. He only caught like 3 of these Pokemon.
Yeah, Charmander. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last episode, but the whole Charmander episode with the wild Australian, Bulbasaur from the Hidden Village. And
I'm waiting for somebody to hit us up and tell us that pissed off that guy's from New Zealand, and we better not say he's fucking Australian again.
Oh my god! And then of course Squirtle, who was sort of rogue, that wanted to go straight.
Squirtle's got the 1999 Prada shades.
He does.
Krabby was an interesting Krabby. I love that catch for some reason. So the reason why he caught Krabby in the last episode was that they made fun of him. Misty and Brock were making fun of him. It was like, yeah, pretty much like we gave you your first 2 badges, and then like the only reason why you got this much Pokemon is because you managed to coerce them to come with you. Right. And Ash was like, I can catch a Pokemon. Nuts to this. So he grabs a twig and he pokes it at it, and then they do this thing and he catches it off guard. Yeah. And that's how we learn about the whole bill system, because it goes to Professor Oak. And
Ash was so trash.
Yeah, he's such a fucking dork.
He
rolls up to the gym and announces himself like such a nerd.
First, all right, so yeah. We get there. We start off this episode. They reach Vermillion City. They go to the Pokemon Center. Their Rattatas coming in on gurneys, big ass gurneys with tiny little rats on them. Nurse Joy is like, "This is the 15th one this month." I was like, "Jesus Christ, people are getting
smashed."
Yeah, this Rattata, this little Route 4 Rattata on this game. Yeah.
To be honest, though, it's like, why would they bring that anyways? That's their fault.
I think
they're babies.
Kanto didn't have a lot of variety with the strength, I think. You had to really reach the end of the game to really start getting...
It at least should have been Eradicate. At least.
Yeah, well, maybe.
When does Rattata evolve?
Like 18 or...
Yeah, I'm saying.
It's ridiculous.
You guys like normal types? You guys like normal types? I've never rocked with normal types.
I'm not a fan, but like they're so... In earlier stages in the games like that, they did pretty well because of weaknesses and stuff. So you can run in, get you a Hyper Fang off. That shit will probably take care of it.
Yeah, I gotta say I have been fucked over by Raticates a few times in my day. But I also I tell you, to give your question a real answer, no, I don't fuck with normal type Pokemon. I don't even know what they're strong and weak against, because I'm like, no, you're lame. I don't like. Why don't you have a type? Like, why?
They're average down the board. Like they have real
very neutral.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what type. Like, I could give almost all of them another type. Like, you don't need a bird Pokemon. Doesn't need to be flying and normal.
I agree.
You're already like Charizard should have 3 types, and we can't get that. But how do these other ones have like an extra one? It doesn't make any sense. I can't think of what else somebody like Snorlax would really be. You could get away with like Rattata and Raticate being dark Pokemon, I think. But again, that gives crazy typing early in the game. But nobody fucks with normal Pokemon.
Snorlax is like the best normal type Pokemon.
Still. He's like the flag. He's the flagship and really only usable one.
Straight up.
Yeah, they're kind of they have no advantage, but they only have weaknesses, which is kind of why everyone has not really taken to them. But it is what it is.
But again, they have iconic Pokemon, which it kind of makes it worse. I don't know.
Any normal type I like is for aesthetic purposes. So
yeah, totally.
So eventually, Ash reaches to the gym because that is the first stop he's going to go in Vermillion City. It's really kind of one of the only stops he goes before he reaches SS Hand. He shows up to the gym, kicks open the door. There's like 2 trainers there. There's like, oh, we got another trainer. And Lieutenant Surge shows up. This motherfucker is like 9 feet tall.
He's so tall. He's so tall. Makes no sense.
Like Ash is up to his,
who are all these hot children in my gym?
Well, the first thing he does is hug Misty without any provocation, and then holds her, and it's like, let go of her.
I know what you were doing in the war.
Hey, you're the challenger. Let me give you a Thunder Badge.
Yeah, it's
what was he going to give her? How was she going to obtain the Thunder Badge?
She was gonna obtain after a. Let me take you out to pizza and some wine. We know a great place down the street, Raichu.
Yo, you're Lieutenant Surge. Oh my god. I mean, his accent is very. We talked about it. It's a little Joey Wheeler.
It's very Joey Wheeler.
Just a little more gruffer, a little more aggressive. It was like, oh, Thunderbolt, like it's one of those.
Yeah, he's kind of like a mob guy.
Kind of.
He calls everyone baby. He's like, oh, look at the baby.
He says it like he's just using baby as like a dude type of thing, just like a title. But he's actually, what he means is that he thinks everyone is a little baby, which is really weird.
Because this motherfucker's 9 feet tall.
He's a strange man.
It's an interesting, walks in, but you know what? He's a gym leader. They're all eccentric in their own ways. Except
you guys like the
Brock
tan,
and Misty.
The tan they gave him to kind of match Raichu's aesthetics. So weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, they present him as somebody from his look overall. I could see him as even being someone who goes tanning and bleaches his hair. Yeah. So, he's not in the army anymore. He has to do something with these hours.
Lieutenant Surge would be really great in like the Nintendo Pro Wrestling game or like Punch Out or something like that. Like he'd really be dope on that.
If he was in Super Smash and you just got to pummel people as Lieutenant Surge.
Oh, that'd be fire. Why aren't there gym leaders? Why isn't like Koga in Smash?
Because none of them. There's so many gym leaders now that they aren't. There's very few like iconic gym leaders because there's so many gym leaders now.
I would reckon that the only memorable gym leaders are the first 2 generations, just like with everyone else's memory. Like I remember Koga. I think Lance would be dope if he had hands. Like I just think gym leaders don't got hands for real.
Yeah, they don't be fighting.
Surge does.
Surge does. Surge 100% does. He was in the war. You see his fatigue vest that he has open with his little, chain around it. With that said, he walks in with his damn Pikachu. I mean, Ash walks in with his Pikachu. Lieutenant Surge brings out his Raichu in kind of response to it all.
It's like, nigga, what? You brought a Pikachu in my gym? That's basically how he reacted. Like, why are you bringing this?
I bet he saw it like the Rattata type of thing. He was like, oh, you bought this little small... Like, what are with these people and these small Pokemon? These We get to the battle itself.
It's come on. Let me say something here. This is terrible strategy.
It was terrible.
Well, first off, I think even as a child, even as a kid, the big thing here is that this is the first time proper that we see Pikachu's evolution, and it kind of goes into the story of like, okay, Pikachu can become this. He can become big and imposing and large and really strong. But when you see, it's just like first off, it's electric versus electric.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So here and I'm with you exactly why I agree so much is he just got done with his first 2 badges, and the main lesson of those 2 badges were type effectiveness and making sure you throw out the right it's like you didn't learn anything, and you go to this guy, you see he's been beating Pokemon's ass because you just saw it at the Pokemon Center.
Yeah,
it's just weird. It's no common sense.
I don't know. He doesn't really use type effectiveness, nor does he even consider at any point in this thing.
I was gonna say, has he ever? Yeah, like has he ever used type effect? Because like, okay, what's his team right now? His team is Pikachu, Krabby.
He has nobody to deal with this, right?
Yeah,
technically.
Okay, all right.
Not but like,
everybody will get washed in their own special type of way.
It's very like Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the Cards thing, like I can do
fighting
this
spirit.
because, yeah, I can do this because I believe I can do this. So it doesn't matter the typing. Like how this episode ends is still very like, come on, you know what I mean? Like it was a great finish, but that's not actually happening.
Raichu comes in. I think it's just overwhelming power as opposed to just like
That
strategy or anything.
It was that thunder
Hits you
shock.
with the thunder shock. He thunder shocks Pikachu. Pikachu actually gets shocked. And then there's a mega punch and a mega kick too. I was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Mega
That's
punch
tough.
and mega kick were moves back
They
then.
were moves back then.
What, that would put that Raichu, if we were to guess levels, that Raichu was far above the level 24 or 23 that he's at in the games. He'd have to be at least late 30s.
He's supposed to be up there with that type of
He's
move
supposed
set.
to be up, but he's like, I mean, no, with mega punch, mega kick, you probably just teach that. I mean, this is a punch in the
He may have
kick.
taught it.
He still has like thunder shock, but I mean, we get to the actual level point all after the fact.
I will say that's probably the strongest move that we come across early in the game, though.
Yeah,
because
mega punch, mega kick.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did like 65. It was a pretty big hit. You got hit with it, it was gonna hurt you. So
it just sounded cool. I wanted it. I was like, oh, where do I find mega punch?
Yeah,
Because that sounds like a move I need. I wouldn't put it on a Raichu or anything, but you know, whatever. With that said, it goes. He loses, blacked out, $200. You know how to do. And then we get to the dramatics because they're back in the hospital and Pikachu's in a full
this scene
bed.
is hilarious.
Pikachu's in a full bed and they're like waiting around his bed and it's just like, oh my god.
Like this is the end.
Nurse Joy comes in and she's like, you know, I know there's one way to beat Lieutenant Surge. And she pulls out a Thunderstone. And I'm like, my god. First of all, Thunderstones are expensive.
She pulled out like it was an 8-ball of
Right,
okay.
like it's secret or illegal or something.
She's like, there's one way to beat him. And then here's a Thunderstone. It was like a Thunderstone. You know, and of course they got Brock and Misty on commentary. With a Thunderstone, you could evolve Pikachu into a Raichu. And they're just
But like, even so, this whole dialogue is weird because if I'm thinking of a way to beat Raichu, I'm not thinking, oh, let me get my own Raichu. It's just, I don't know. Like, there's other ways to go about this.
Do you think there was a fundamental, because you know, like the anime and the games, I think they probably were making this before the games kind of became a zeitgeist, really.
Yeah,
you think there was like a fundamental misunderstanding from the writers at that time of really what the games were about?
Yeah, that's real. Like, basically, you're saying, you know, they had things in place for the anime that is kind of unstructured based off the game.
Yeah. They're like,
totally
here's the basic skeleton of what the show is about. Now write it.
Yeah.
Here are the gym leaders. Here are all the characters. Here are all the things. I was like, oh, okay. Well, why don't we make Misty one of his friends and Brock also one of his friends? Like, they're gym leaders.
And this isn't a wild like assumption because this has been happening since the beginning of time. Like Masters of the Universe, they made the cartoon based off of the toys and not the other way around. It's happened forever. So I would think that the reason why we have so many inconsistencies and like you guys said, like he gets handed his first 2 badges. This would never happen if they were writing the show today. And I think actually it doesn't happen.
Nestroy shows up, Thunderstone. They're like, wait a minute. Pikachu has his moment with Ash. Ash is like, yo, Pikachu, do you want to evolve? And then Pikachu's doing this whole like, no. He's going in this whole Pika voice and stuff like that. Mind you, on the outside of this thing, Meowth from Team Rocket, and I just want to give a shout out to Team Rocket in this episode because the comic relief that they had, to me, I legitimately laughed at the stupid things that they've done and the stupid things that they said and the kind of over dramatics that they kind of had.
They're great this episode.
Yeah, they're like Pikachu's trying to explain to him that he doesn't want to evolve. He wants to be Lieutenant Surge as a Pikachu and the name for all Pikachus. And James like, that's beautiful. Oh my God. Love it. Love the little cheering section thing where they stop in the middle of the road and it's like we're the official challenger cheering section. They do the little cheer, and you know, then they run off and people know immediately they're Team Rocket anyway.
We burying the. Are we still in the Pikachu thing? Like we're burying the.
Yes, of course. No. I just want to get through the Team Rocket thing very quickly.
Okay, all right, yeah, because you got to get to the point where Pikachu violates.
Yeah,
no, please, let's get there. Because Pikachu slaps 100% that Thunderstone out that hand.
Yeah, he slapped the shit out of it. Get that shit out of my fucking. I'm not doing that.
Listen, I would have been like, I would have the same thing I do to Roman. Put my finger out, like, what are you doing, bro?
Are you crazy?
I love the fact that also in this is like Brock also says, "That's crazy. Maybe you should use your other Pokemon."
Dog, like maybe you should. Brock said the smartest shit in the episode.
Have you guys ever, based on this episode, I feel like this episode would have inspired it and all, refused to evolve a Pokemon because of what happened in this episode?
No.
No?
I do think that's why Ash ended up being the way that he was later on. I feel like this episode and with Pikachu is why he didn't care about Squirtle never evolving, Bulbasaur stopping himself from evolving. Like, he didn't care. And the ones that did evolve, what did he do?
Let him go.
He let him go. Every time. His Charizard was on that canyon with all the other Charizards until he needed help. And by the way, I was watching the Pokemon movie 3 the other day, and that shit was hilarious. The Butterfree, he went off because he met a girl. It's like, Pidgeot.
Butterfree said Ash ain't getting no hose and left.
He left. He saw a pink Butterfree that is only canon, and that was the end of it.
I can't believe you. I've definitely not evolved Pokemon now to learn moves faster.
Oh no! I mean, yeah, in that situation,
because there's no incentive to evolve them later. Like, if you evolve them later, like now you have to wait till level 55 to learn Hydro Pump, as opposed to like level 42 as a Squirtle. So I just kept them
thing, right. Like Arcanine doesn't learn any moves, so you have to keep your Growlithe till like level 45 when he learns Flame.
Right, to sort of learn all the moves. And now, now these games, they have incentives for actually evolving because you learned a special move once you evolve to that level. Yeah, so now there's an incentive to evolve them, which they didn't have before.
Right.
I must say that when I was a kid, the electric type was my favorite, and Raichu was 100%.
Oh, Raichu's so cool.
Him, Electabuzz, Jolteon, Zapdos, they were my favorite Pokemons at the time. And I have to say, like, even going back in this, it kind of sparked those memories for me because I was like, I did want to evolve my Pikachu. I was like, Ash is crazy. Raichu looks sweet. Like, I thought Raichu was dope.
Raichu has a good design.
Oh my god. No, I've definitely, in Pokemon Yellow, they pretty much force you. You cannot evolve Pikachu in that game. You have to catch another Pikachu. Yeah. I don't even know if you can catch another Pikachu in that game.
Did you guys know that Pikachu's stats were changed because of this episode?
Really?
Yeah. They made him stronger.
They made him stronger, and they made sure that he caps off faster than Raichu, and that was kind of how it makes sense. Like
his
that's
speed
how Ash
completely outclasses Raichu now in the games.
Yeah.
So like, what wasn't Aloha Raichu actually good though?
Oh yeah, because he gets that psychic. It's psychic electric.
Yeah. It's a typing.
Dope ass typing. Yeah. But like
typing
Pikachu, you can put like a fucking Eviolite on Pikachu and get to work. You can do he gets all these he learns so many moves now.
Yeah, you can put a light ball on him and it doubles his attack. You could do a whole bunch of other things. There's many incentives for Pikachu now. There was a whole Let's Go Pikachu gave you all the incentives in the world because he was so OP in that game. It's like let's see. We get to the actual. All right, so they do the thing. Brock comes up with a strategy. He was like,
his strategy is very not that much better. He's just banking on Lieutenant Surge to essentially do what he does here, and you'll explain it now.
Yeah. Listen, so he returns to the gym. It's the same thing, a one-on-one battle. Pikachu versus Raichu. Raichu pulls up incredibly hard, starts whipping him with his tail.
He looks so cool, like
cracking of the whip. He also knows body slam now, which is insane. I was like, damn, this is crazy. This is like an actual wrestling match. You know what I'm saying? Like
he has 5 moves now.
Yeah, he's doing like Thunderbolt, Thunder Shock, Mega Punch, Mega Kick, Body
Slam, all these type of things. They didn't care about how much moves you had back in the day. Now they're really serious. Now in the anime, they're really serious about it. Like, you really only have 4 moves in the anime. It's made
Ash,
for pretty.
What does Pikachu have?
Pikachu right now has Thunderbolt, Quick Attack, Iron Tail, and what's that? Electric Web.
He's not using Volt Tackle no more?
No, he's not using Volt Tackle. He gave Volt Tackle.
Ash ran with that shit for a few years.
Yeah. Pikachu uses agility, and the tides of the battle is completely changed in 1 instant. He's like, and then Brock eventually reveals his master plan of like, yo, Lieutenant Surge evolved Raichu before he could learn all those fast moves that you
He's
can
too
only learn as a
slow.
Pikachu. So, and I was like, wow, didn't even think of
mean,
that. And then that actually, all this thing kind of puts in my brain perspective on like evolving Pokemon and when to actually do it, as opposed to just being like, I got this Raichu. I got this Growlithe. I got this Firestone. You're making it happen. Like, and being asked out with only an Ember.
Fucking Ember on your Arcanine. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, some shit. So it was pretty cool. He uses agility. He uses quick attack. All types of other moves. He manages to confuse Raichu. Raichu runs out of electricity for whatever reason. I don't know.
I don't even know how to talk about that. Yeah.
And he hits Raichu with a quick attack, and it's a wrap. Oh, he slaps him with his tail. Never mind. It's like an electric slap with his tail.
Quick attack is like, it's so OP on the anime, and it's so trash in the game. I mean, it hits first, so it's not. I don't want to. I guess it's not completely trash, but it has no damage. But on the show, man, that should be.
Yeah,
that won some matches.
Yeah. This is an all-time great episode, in my opinion.
I think that was Pikachu's turning point, as well, as far as like the ability to handle any kind of situation.
With that said, this kind of ends the episode. I wanted to also link. There's a future episode, especially one of the more recent ones, where they reference all the type of stuff that's going on in the city. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good episode. They have it's Ash trying to qualify for the Pokemon World Championship so he can face Leon, of course, the champion,
of course,
in the Galar region, or Galar region, if you were like whatever.
Galar. Hey, real quick, we were talking about the SSN. I just want to get this off as we were talking about the Pokemon War and all that shit. Real quick, when you have to face Blue, right, at the end of the SSN.
Very hard fight.
It is a hard fight. He has Eradicate in that fight. When you beat him, obviously you move on. You get, I want to say, cut from the captain who's stowing up. When you get to Lavender Town,
the drunk captain, yes.
when you get to Lavender Town, you see Blue again, in inside of the the little funeral home, whatever the fuck that shit is.
Right.
And then he doesn't have his Eradicate anymore. So there's another one saying that basically you killed his Eradicate on the SSN. He went to bury it and you never see him with it again.
Pokemon World Conspiracies, folks.
Pokemon World Conspiracies.
I like the War one better, even though presumably Pokemon also died in that.
What's the episode? I'm sorry if you guys have talked about this.
No.
What's the episode where he wins the championship? I haven't seen it yet.
So, the Alolan?
It's the Alolan episode. It's way far. It's like more than 1,000 episodes in.
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, okay. So it is in Sun and Moon. It's not a particularly good episode.
Really?
Nah, it's not like. All right, so it's good in terms of the fulfillment of like he finally won one, but when you realize under all the circumstances that he finally did win one, you're kind of like, oh, it's not as. He wins it in a 3-on-3 battle. He pretty much won a tournament. The entire Alola region, of course, they're kind of just building it from the start up. So he has an advantage on everyone because he's the only person in this actual show. He's one of the very few people in this actual show that actually has battled.
This is the first
frequently.
contest for them. Yeah, like he's a professional at this point. Like, he should handle this.
The next gym that we are going through, oh wow, it's a 3-part episode, is Sabrina.
Oh, it is Sabrina. Wow.
Well, that's bizarre.
That is super bizarre. So the next gym we will go to is Sabrina. It's a 3-part episode in terms of the Tower of Terra, Haunter versus Kadabra. Oh, 2-part. No, Abra and the Psychic Showdown, Tower of Terra, and Haunter versus Kadabra. So we'll be talking about 3 episodes.
That's crazy. There was no episode like that until then, I don't think, right?
No. And then Erica's gym comes shortly afterwards. Okay. All right. So
this is going to be a fun conversation because it's where like in terms of the actual storyline, the show and the game are, other than actual events, just in terms of broad events, the most divergent.
Yes, this is
like the gyms are so out of order here.
This has been episode 13 of the Mount Silver podcast. Justin, thank you for coming and all your knowledge and all your analysis on this entire ordeal.
Absolutely. I love talking Pokemon. I love talking everything. We got to do an Animal Crossing episode.
It's got to come, dude. It's getting deep.
Once again, Thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow and make sure you stay up on all events on RNC Radio Live. You can also follow the Lookout RNC on Twitter. Both of those you can follow on Twitter. You can continue to follow the Lookout RNC podcast, including the Lookout, including Mount Silver, including the Big Eyes, which is a weekly one covering manga hosted by Jamal.
Man, I feel like Big Eyes comes out every day.
Yeah, practically. I mean, there's new content every day for him, so he's out here every week, really doing the damn thing. Once again, next episode we will be talking about the Psychic Gym of Saffron City and wondering how all these events lead Ash to his latest gym battle or latest gym win. And that is it. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.